Hey, so I'm sitting here with Aror, and we're going to talk about the Phase 1 playoffs and, you know, looking forward to Phase 2, and maybe we'll ask some more questions after that. I got a lot of questions from one of our great analysts, Frost, and so, maybe we'll just get started. How do you think the Phase 1 playoffs went from your guys' perspective? Do you guys I know the outcome wasn't entirely what you wanted, but overall, did you guys feel like you showed up pretty good?
Yeah, I felt like we showed up pretty good. I mean, going into it, we were what, fifth seed, I think. I don't even
Mm-hmm.
remember now. Were we fifth seed?
I think so. I think it was on
We were
the
fifth or fourth seed. I don't remember, but we were like five. I think we were 500. We were either like 8-6 or 7-7. I don't remember our record
yeah, something like
exactly,
that.
but a lot of people were really too high on us, which makes sense because we kind of played bad the second half of the phase. We came out pretty strong. We said
Yep.
we won like four in a row, and then we lost a couple. And we brought it back at the end just in time, and then we all felt pretty confident going to playoffs. Still, we all know that we're good, so we weren't really worried, and we knew once it got to the best of five sets, it would help our team, especially. And I was
Yeah.
looking for that as well, and yeah, we just prepared and we went in there and we did pretty well. I feel like.
Okay,
I mean, the
so
finals were crazy, but
it
yeah.
was crazy. I mean, probably one of the best sets that we've seen in a while. So when you're like preparing for things like this, I mean, like you guys, I would say you had a deep run. You make it to the finals after, kind of. I don't want to say floundering because I love you, Aurora, but it was a little bit shaky there at the end of the season. With I don't know. I saw some of the tier lists, man, and Cyclone Spin eighth on the ADC tier list and things like that. I don't want to give a lot of credit or credence
I
to
feel like
those.
people were like beaming or something. I don't
I
even know what
I
that
think there
was.
is a little bit of memeing too, but like, how do you like you were losing games, right? Which is what was happening. So how do you sort of like mentally get right to set up for a run like this to go deep in a tournament?
Yeah, we're just still trying to figure things out. Like during the regular split, we didn't have it like all. We didn't have everything set up how we wanted to and how we wanted to do things. And we honestly, by the end of playoffs, we really still didn't have it set up all the way.
Mm-hmm.
But we were getting on the right track, and that's why we started playing better and we started improving, and that's why like we were ramping up throughout the entire tournament. I felt like we got better and better with each
Sure,
set, and
sure.
then we even played pretty well in the finals because like in the finals, I feel like I almost called them rival. If I call them rival by
That's fine.
accident, my bad.
I
But
called him rival in my little notes document here, so they they can't
but
escape from that just yet.
against Ghost, like I felt like we played okay, but I was like some of the games, they definitely. I feel like they could have just took them, but we fought back pretty well. And I feel like if we didn't improve as much as we did throughout the tournament, we probably would have not been able to push them to 5 games. So I think we got on the right track, and as long as we get back on the right track and stay on that next split, I think we'll be a lot better than what we were towards the end of the second or the first half of the second
Sure,
phase of that.
sure. Do you find that like going through a tournament like this and like recognizing that you improve throughout a tournament like this, that like that can build momentum going into phase two? Does that mean anything to you guys? Like I know you didn't win, but like it feels good to make a good placement. I think, right? And does that like help your guys' confidence going into the second phase?
Maybe it helps confidence, I guess, a little bit. But I don't know, not really, because there's like the game's changed again.
Mm-hmm. Like
I
big
think
patch.
the most important thing is it just shows that we can do it, and we can do it with the team that we had, and we just need to figure it out. And if we figure it out faster this time and start getting on the right track, or continue continuing on getting on a good track and just
Mm-hmm.
improving like every week, then we'll be really good. And that's what our goal is for sure.
Do you like you've played on a lot of winning teams in recent memory, and even I mean I would say for most of your career, at least since the eager days, you've played on a lot of winning teams. Do you find that uh, what was I gonna say here? Shoot. Oh, do you find that like sometimes when you win too much, it's hard to see that sense of improvement that might lead to like I know how you're saying that like you're still working out the kinks a little bit, and so that like having this sense of improvement on a game to game basis probably makes that feel really good when you feel like you're still trying to work it out. You find that if you like get on a winning streak, sometimes it's hard to see those things like where the improvement is happening.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think on all the teams I've been on, I've never been on a perfect team ever. Even the year that we won, I think we could have made improvements like a lot of like in just different areas.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one like going back to season 5, like we were winning a lot and that the second split up going into Worlds, we had that really hot run where we basically beat everybody except United once, I think.
Sure.
Um that phase. Um but we were still improving even though we were winning a lot, and it's just the mindset you have to get with your team.
Mm-hmm.
um and even on eager we won, like going back to like season 3. Well,
Mm-hmm.
actually, I don't uh, that's probably the only time where we had like a really big hot streak. Like every other phase I've been on teams that have won a lot, but we've always had our, maybe not struggle is the right word, but like our little bumps in the
Tribulations,
road.
yeah, bumps in the
Yeah,
road, sure.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think those are always helpful because if you can get through them as a team, it just makes you better. And we had a lot of bumps in the road, maybe for this first phase, but we got through them. And we got across the road, so we got
Sure.
better from it.
Sure. It kind of seems like in recent memory, the quote unquote super teams have had, you know, some bumps in the road start to appear more often than not. And sort of tying into that, like going into the playoffs, you must like what were your expectations? Like I'm sure everyone's thinking, yeah, we're gonna um, we would love to win, right? Like if like that's obviously the goal, but like what would you not hate to happen? You know, is sort of what I'm trying to ask, right? Because that's often a consideration, right? Because even second place and other things get like points in terms of world seeding, if I recall correctly. So, you know, how are you feeling about this in terms of like, you know, thinking about your competition too? Because there are a lot of strong teams in this league and who are in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, for me, like at the start of every year, like I'll go into the year thinking, I think everybody does this probably,
Mm-hmm.
goes into the year thinking that they're gonna win, and
Yeah.
that's what I do every single year.
Sure.
And once I get that mindset, I kind of just throw it to the back of my head, and I don't really think about that. I just start thinking about who we're playing next, and I just think about how we're gonna beat them and what we're gonna do to prepare to just have a good set or a good game against them, and that's all I care about.
Yeah.
That's what I did
Okay.
during the split. And
Sure.
then when the split was over, playoffs were coming, the thought came up. Not for a long time I thought about it, but I felt like we could win the whole playoffs. And then I just went back into the mode of, all right, we're playing um who do we play first?
PK.
I'm blanking right now. PK, yeah, we played PK first.
Yep.
All we did was, like the only thought that was in my mind was how are we gonna draft? How are we gonna ban?
Sure.
What are we gonna do on the map? How do we want to play against them?
Yep.
How do we, like it was only focused on PK,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like we could beat them. Um, they beat us the second half of phase 1, but we
Yep.
beat them in opening week.
Yeah.
So I felt like we could beat them. Every team basically beat each other this split as well. Um, and for this, since it was online, the other thing I felt like all the teams were kind of pretty bad, including us, and even
Mm-hmm.
Ghost
Okay.
to an extent.
Sure.
Um, and I feel like some of it has to do with just all the teams playing online. Like it's a little more sloppy. Like that's why the games go like so long, and I feel like that's why our set was as crazy as it was. I feel like if it was at a LAN environment, it might have went differently,
Hmm.
and who knows how it would have went. But I don't think it would have been as sloppy because like our games, like that first game they had against us, like they were gonna win. They like if that was on LAN, they probably would have just won and beat us. But they ended up throwing, and we almost came back and won that first game. Um, so I feel like they were the least worst team in the tournament, basically, and that's why they won. and they were the most like consistent,
Sure.
and they made the least amount of mistakes. But I feel like every team wasn't playing that well, including the two teams that were in the finals. So,
All right.
there's a
Well,
lot to improve on.
sure. Yeah. So now that we sort of started talking about it, before we dive into the games, because I got some game specific questions from some of the analysts. I just got to mention, like, Daji. Where did that come from? I guess that seems to be like, at least seems to me, where the story sort of started with you guys in terms of like winning games and winning sets was adapting on this Daji. Is that just something you guys like had in the tank for a while, or like tell me where that came from in terms of getting ready for this land, so to speak?
Yeah, we were just playing it in scrims, and it was just something that we knew was a pretty good pick, and then we just decided to play it a lot leading up into the tournament. It was going well, so we just picked it.
So like,
The tournament, that's basically about it.
when you say like you were playing it in scrims, was this like something that other teams had seen in scrims that just wasn't really showing up in the SPL games? Like, I don't think Adapting played it too many times during the phase, maybe once or twice, if I remember correctly. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
might not even played it at all.
Yeah,
I actually don't know either.
so it seemed kind of out of the blue, which is like, was this just like in the scrims leading up to the playoffs, or was this sort of you saw that this had success earlier on, and you're like, all right, now's the time to
Yeah,
pull it out?
I don't remember exactly, but I think around then, and then maybe a little bit before as well. Like maybe the last couple weeks of SPL, possibly. But I can't remember off the top of my head. But it was more towards the end for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, let's I guess get into talking about the three games that happened at playoffs. The first one against PK. Game one, PK sort of did their own thing, but then you guys basically ran the set. I just want to know, is there like anything specific you like planned for PK in terms of like picks and bans? Like Frost had a lot of questions about Hell and like using Hell or picking and banning around Hell, especially with such a strong Hell player on the other team. So I don't know, just so talk a little bit about how you were prepping for like the picks and bans or even PK in general. Like, what are the things that you might have noticed that to give you a bit of an advantage or something like that?
Yeah, we basically just looked at what they played during the split, and then we really like for the history of what I like to do, like prepping most of the time. I don't really care what the other team does. I just care what we're doing and like how we're gonna execute it and what we need to do and what we need to pick to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we just looked at what they were playing. Like Paul's a really strong Hell player, so we wanted to take that away from him. And I can't remember what our other bans were off the top of my head right now. Um, but I think we banned other mid laners as well too, just to be targeted at Paul a little bit, if I remember right. And then we just had our plan. I felt like actually like going back to that first game, I don't know if I'm getting it mixed up with our SPL game. I don't think I am, but I felt like we had a good early game, and
Mm-hmm.
then we kind of like lost it in the mid game, and then PK took a lead, and then they just ran with it and beat us in the first game. And I think, yeah, I remember after the game we're like, "Yo, it's fine. We did what we wanted to do, and it worked. We just
Mm-hmm.
need to not let go of it." And
Sure.
we didn't let go in the last 3 games against them, and we were
Yep.
able to just take them out after that. We just were
Okay.
able to execute what we wanted to do a lot better.
So I'm just gonna go straight into some of the questions that Frost gave for me here. He talks. He gave me some context for these questions, so I want to read what he said here. He said, over the years, there have been a few players with signature gods that seemed virtually unbeatable during the regular season and going into a tournament. And he references Kanye Life, who drew out bans for Ymir and Ares in the Smite World Championships. And even he referenced yourself at when you won the championship with Fenrir. You basically were like single handedly running games with that pick. And so he's sort of putting this in the context of Paul's Hell, and he wants to know, like, is Paul's Hell really like that bad? Is it something that needs to be prioritized in every sort of pick ban phase that you have going against PK?
Well, the thing with his Hell, he's really good at it, obviously. And I think looking at any player with any signature god like that from any team, like in
Mm-hmm.
the history of Smite, um, they play that character a lot and they play it very well. And what ends up happening, I feel like most of the time, is that teams get better at playing against it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that people forget is that the person that's playing it, their team gets better with playing with it as well. So um, there are things you can do to stop Hell, but
Mm-hmm.
that team, like PK in particular, like Paul's really good at Hell, and then they're really good at playing with his Hell as well. So
Sure.
they can get a lot out of the pick compared to like another team. Like even though Hell's a good character,
Mm-hmm.
another team might not get as much, even if their player is really good at Hell. Paul's the best at Hell probably out of all the Hell players, though. I'll say that for sure.
Sure.
Even like Shinto is like a really good Hell player as well,
Mm-hmm.
but Sanguine's style and the way they play isn't going to be as good as PK's style with Paul's Hell. Like if Paul goes to Sanguine and plays Hell on Sanguine, he'll still probably do really well.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Sanguine will be able to adapt and get better like with him, and he'll still probably be just as good, but it would maybe
Sure.
take a little bit more time than just having him play Hell on PK where he's been at this entire split, and they've played with it a bunch in scrims and in SPL, and he's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
done really well on it. So we just didn't want them to have access to a pick like that they're all really comfortable with, and they know that Paul's going to be really consistent on as well. So, and I feel like
Okay.
that goes for like any character that's really good.
Sure.
Like
Is
going
there
back, like go
is
ahead.
there is
Sorry.
there is there like something specific about Paul and the way he plays Hell that like makes it different, or do you think it's mostly the way the team like is playing around him that makes it such a hard pick to deal with? Like, is it more the individual or the team, in your opinion?
I think it's both. It's a lot. It's like a lot of both as well. I think he plays it really aggressively, and like
Mm-hmm.
he knows his limits really well, and his team knows how to back him up. Like when he puts himself in aggressive positions, and then he also knows how to position well, like in the late game. And
Right.
his team also knows how to position around him to make the most use out of him compared to like other teams playing with a Hell. So I think like individually, it's a lot, and it's probably more individually, I'd say, and then it's still a lot like of team as well, but it's more individual and then still a lot of team. Like it's both though. But
Okay.
I give it a little bit more to like if you wanted to ask me what I at least personally think,
Sure.
if it's more individual or team based, it's probably a little bit more individual, but it's still like a lot of both, like both parties doing really well, and that's what makes it so good. And that's why it gets banned a lot.
Okay. Um, Sometimes we see like Hell slide through. Do you think that teams sort of underestimate that sometimes? Or is it just like maybe a way to like not even approach the subject in terms of like the pick and bans? Like, why is there a reason why a team would maybe allow Paul to get Hell at all?
Maybe yeah, maybe if they like prep something that they feel like is really strong at playing against Hell, and they have a strategy at how they want to shut him down and how they can make it so he can't do what he wants, then I could see it being good leaving it open, and that's definitely a possibility that other teams can do. I think he got it. He definitely got it a couple times during the regular split.
Yep.
He did well at it, and I definitely feel like those teams were just like, "Oh no, we forgot to ban Hell and got wrecked." They probably had like a plan what they wanted to do. Maybe they didn't. Who
Like
knows?
they
But
were focusing on their own draft too much and might have forgotten about Paul, or because you know I think a lot of people would say it's like fairly strong to have to ban certain gods in a drafting phase, because that leaves like more meta picks to come through and then more of your own signature picks to come through. So you know teams letting it slide. Do you think that's just like genuine mistakes some of the time?
I mean, it could be. Who I don't know. I'm not like I don't really talk to any of the other teams
Sure.
about picks and bans ever, so I have no idea. But my guess, I'd like give them the benefit of the doubt. Like maybe they had a plan to play against the Hell, and or they thought that they could just beat it as well. Like that's another thing that they could have. Like maybe they're just like it's just Hell. Like we can beat it. Like we've been doing
All right.
this that, but But it also could just be like you said, they could just be focusing on their own draft too much, and they just forget about Hell, and they just forget maybe they're like, oh shoot, we're playing PK, it's
Sure.
Paul. Oh no, he has Hell, but who
Yeah.
knows? Like I have no idea.
Right, right. I mean, that doesn't happen to your picks and bans, obviously. So, all right, last Hell question, and then we'll move on to the Sanguine set. You think MSI and these mid-season patch changes are going to change anything with Hell? Is she still going to be viable? Do you think, like, with some of the changes, maybe Shinto will start playing her more and maybe overtake Paul as the best Hell in the league? I know you already sort of shouted him out a little bit, but or is maybe she getting nerfed a little bit? What do you think about that? Or is that revealing too much information? I don't want you to feel like you're giving away things. So
to be honest, I don't really know yet because I haven't been able to scrim yet on this patch. We're scrimming in the next couple days. So
yeah,
once we start scrimming and once I see it in scrims, I'll have like a better understanding of what I think. But right now,
sure.
it's still really strong in ranked. I think it'll always be a strong pick in ranked unless it gets nerfed like extremely hard. Because going back to even like season 4, I think it was, I was playing Hell support in ranked.
Oh yeah, dude, I remember that.
I was winning like every game, and then I played it at the All-Star event and won that. So I mean, like Hell's gonna be like, the thing with Hell is Hell's like an insane character.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hell's really good at the ranked level, and then even if you bring it one step up to like the in-house level, which is like between like scrims and ranked, like
Sure.
like not the scrim level, but like between scrims and ranked, like that level where like good players get together and they play some in-houses, like even if you bring it there, like Hell's gonna be really strong. As soon as you get into scrims though, you have to be really good individually at Hell, I feel like, and your team also has to be good at playing around it. And with the changes right now, I have no idea how good Hell's gonna be, but she's definitely still really good in ranked for sure right now. So who knows? She can definitely still be really strong because she didn't get touched. I don't think at all for nerfs, or maybe she did. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't think so. Maybe some of her items got nerfed a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think Frost was more thinking about like the map changes and things like that. I don't know. I think like theoretically mid should have a little less farm overall now because they removed that harpy and things like that. But okay, you ready to move on? You want a sip of water or anything?
No, I'm good.
We've been talking for a little while here, so just want to make sure. All right, moving on to Sanguine. Sanguine, man, first seed. It's kind of crazy considering 2 years ago my boys were not even in the SPL. So I don't know what to come up. What are your thoughts on the Sanguine boys and them coming up, and then like rookies, man, becoming first seed basically?
Yeah, no, they had a really good split. I'm happy for them. They've been playing and grinding a lot of Smite for like the past 2 years, maybe a little bit more than that, and they've all been on the same team for a while. And I think that's really cool that they were able to like make it an SPL with that group and do as well as they did. So I gotta give them a lot of credit.
Now that we've like seen them a little bit, what were your honest expectations? Going in to the start of this split.
At the start of the split, I thought they were going to do really well because we were scrimming them, and they were the team that was giving us like the most trouble like early on in scrims. Like I think we had a positive win rate against all the other teams that we scrimmed against at the beginning,
except for Sanguine.
Except for Sanguine, and they had a positive win rate against us.
Oh man, okay.
So we were getting a lot out of the scrims playing against them. So I thought they were going to do really well, like going into the split. I thought they were going to be one of the best teams, and they ended up being the best team during the regular season.
Yeah, I don't know. I was genuinely surprised. Like, it's one thing. I don't know. I feel a little more attached to this team than others because they played in my first tournament that I ever hosted and they won it. So, like to see them go from like a little pro-am tournament to making the SML to now like SPL. I'm feeling pretty good about that. But like I don't know, it genuinely surprised me. Like I thought they would probably be around like the 6th seed just because like with the contraction that happened, like the concentration of talent on these teams is just so high. Like every team is stacked, and it feels like every week any of these teams could bring out something new. Like Sino comes in and just like runs the league for like 2-3 weeks basically, because like I mean, props to Sino, he's a beast, like, and that's what a world champion and an MVP can do for your team. So, like that amount of parity in the league is I don't think it was expected, and I don't think even I expected like Sanguine to be up to that level of parity in the league. So I don't know, I just wanted to sort of get your take on it.
Yeah, no, individually they're all really good players. And yeah, Saito coming into the league, he really got Obey back on track.
I mean, that was Phase 1's been one of the best for storylines as far as I can tell. I mean, like it was a really interesting sort of first phase. The script could have been better as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. It could have been a little better.
Well, sure. From a fan perspective, I think though, like a lot of the games were really competitive.
No, for sure, it was good.
And things like that. So like, I know. We talked a little bit already about how the team was a little bit bumpy getting into the playoffs, but like a lot of times in these sorts of lands, you are kind of one of the higher seeds starting out, at least in recent memory. How was it this time, sort of having to go through and as one of the lower seeded teams, like what is your like mentality when you're going up against higher seeded teams and things like that? And does that affect the way that you play? I mean, like surely it's a bit of a boost being like, we're gonna clobber these guys. They got a better seed than us. They're not better than us. But like, speak a little bit more to that.
I think sorry to correct you, but I think the only land that were really high seed was Worlds last year. Because if you look back, MSI the year before.
Okay, sure.
We started out 0-4, and then we made all those roster changes.
Yeah.
So we came in as like the 5th seed then, with the splice with Baskin, or we were maybe the 4th seed then.
Yeah.
When you go back the year before season 5, we were the 5th seed overall when we won that.
Okay, I'll just say like relatively highly though. I mean, like, because I remember like the first Worlds that you guys went to in season 3, you guys were not in the lower brackets and things like that.
Yeah, well, we got the bye, but you have to remember for that team as well, we were the 6th seed going into play-in tournament. So we're actually the 6th seed going into that tournament, but we won the tournament.
Sure.
World, so we got the 1st seed. So we were, I guess that was like the only other land that I was probably a really high seed at, was season 3 Worlds and then season 6 Worlds, right? That was last year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, so then continue.
But basically, I still do feel like the teams that I've been on personally have had like a pretty have maybe at least been in the conversation of doing well at the events. Maybe that's what you're thinking more on.
Sure. Probably. Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, but no, I forgot what the question was though. Sorry.
It's okay. I was just wondering, like, how does it feel, like, mentally go up against, like, a higher seeded team? And does, like, seeding come into play at all? Like, or do you just focus on the players, focus on the plays, don't worry about the seeding, just play who you're going to play, sort of like keep it micro instead of looking at the macro?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't really care
what
seed the other team is. Like, I never have. I feel like every event that I'm in, like my team can win, and there's always a chance for that.
Yeah.
And like our goal, against Sanguine was just like we play our own game, and if we do that, we're gonna do well, and that's what we did. So, like, it didn't matter if they were like the 8th seed and we were the 1st seed, or we were they were the 1st seed and we were the 8th seed. We were still gonna do what we wanted to do and execute it as best as we could, and that's what we did. Okay.
So another like interesting thing that happened in this tournament is Sanguine getting to choose who they got to play. So like that's I have a couple questions about that, which came from Frost here. Do you think it would have been a different type of tournament if they had chosen Ghost instead of you guys, and you had to play SSG? Like, I know you probably like try to prep for all of the people in this tournament, especially because there's not that many teams in total, right? So, you know, do you think you would have won against SSG, or like were they a team that you were, you know, what were your thoughts about getting picked by Sanguine? Was that like something that you wanted to happen, or how did that whole situation play out for
Um,
you?
going after we won our set against PK, I knew we were playing against Sanguine for sure.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean,
like I knew they were gonna pick us
why do you say that? What do you say? Like you knew? What do you mean you knew?
because the rival was beating them more in scrims during the year. Like they were like you could see like they were picking up more and more of Ghost's tendencies throughout the year, and I feel like there was all that stuff on Twitter where like, "Yo, I'll meet you in the finals" and stuff. Like they were tweeting at each other and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew
Mm-hmm.
that we were playing at Sanguine for sure. Like there was no doubt in my mind.
Uh huh.
Like they wanted to set the stage. I think Ghost was kind of scared to play him in the semifinals a little bit, but
Hmm.
that's what it seemed like to me at least. So I
Interesting.
knew that Sanguine was gonna pick us,
Okay.
for sure. And I don't know who knows how it would have went though. Like
Yeah.
I
It's
think
it's
like
so hard to
as
say.
you saw the whole split, like any team could have won like any game, and
Sure.
especially being online, like who knows how certain teams would play against each other or not, like in a best of five scenario. Like obviously I think we'd beat SSG still, but that's just my personal bias because I'm on the team that's playing them.
Of course, of
But
course. But like I don't know.
but
Was
I but
what?
I don't who knows what would have happened, like because the games didn't get played, like but I
Sure.
think it could have gone either way, like realistically, if you're looking at it, because one, it's online, anything can happen,
Right.
and two, it's like it's just two different teams playing each other, so who knows what's gonna happen.
Um, did you guys like prep anything specific for SSG, or were there like certain things that you might have taken into consideration if you had to go against them in your preparation for this tournament?
Just some like draft things, like pick and ban, and then like maybe just a couple things in the game, but like I said, like, it was just sticking to what we wanted to do and executing it as best as we can. And if they did something that was stopping that, then that's something we would look at. Like if they did something that would interfere with what we wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
then we'd be like, okay, that's something that we need to prepare for more.
Sure. Okay. I'm just reading this comment that Frost left me here. He said, Sanguine's playstyle has always been in full view for everyone to see. If they always play their best in the same manner, then they may be at risk of a well formulated plan against them. Do you think that them playing the same style every game is like advantageous or disadvantageous to them? Do you think like if they switch it up, they might be able to, you know, win more games or more sets? And there's another question, but I'll have you answer this first. Like, and I don't know if this is true, but this is what Frost was saying, that he thinks that they play with the same plan every single game. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
Um,
That Sanguine.
yeah, they Sanguine plays their style and they play it like a lot of the games, but I don't think there's a problem with that. I think that they play it so well, even if you prepare for it and you have a strategy against it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the strategy's like super good, which you could come up with something maybe, but it's still hard. Like they're gonna play so consistently, like even if you have something that counters them,
Mm-hmm.
um,
It
they're
might not
still gonna
work.
be. It might not work because they're still gonna team fight so well late game,
Sure.
no matter what. Like
Sure.
that's the thing. Um, so I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's good or bad. I think it's just what they do, and if they think it's good, then it's good for them,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Like
Okay.
I don't like that's how you have to look at it. Like if they think it's good, then it's gonna be good. If they think it's bad, then okay, why are they doing it? They're only gonna do what they thinks good. I feel like because if they were doing something where they're like, oh, we can get countered, this that, like they've played so many scrims against all the different teams that I think that they know what's good and um they know like how what teams can do to it, but they just don't care. They're just gonna do what they want, and they know it's gonna work because that's what they think is good. That's how I feel like they look at it, basically.
So
I mean,
like,
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
do you think they there's a lot of talk, uh, especially when the SPL is in more of a flow about like setting the meta or like being good at meta picks, which are kind of like maybe like two sides of the same coin, where like um do you like we've seen Sanguine play a lot of these quote unquote meta picks like the Merlin, the Jingwei, like every assassin is basically meta, so like I don't you say what you will about the jungling, but like a lot of the carries like Raijin and things like that, do you think that they have a chance now, especially with all these changes in the midseason, to be able to set the meta? Do you think that's a possibility for this a team like Sanguine? Because like I don't know, I don't want to toot your own horn too much, but you especially have been a big part of setting metas. Especially in the second half of the league for like the past couple years, and even going back to season 3 with Eager. You guys would just like run whatever you wanted and make teams react to it, and basically like say like this is how the game is going to be played. So do you think that Sanguine maybe have that potential in them?
Yeah, no, I think they do for sure. I don't like when it comes to setting the meta. I feel like you don't really like. There aren't people that you just aren't like. I'm playing this because this item, that item, and I'm playing it, and this is what's gonna happen, and this guy's good because of that. Like the way metas get set, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
there's like two metas. Like it first starts out early in the year where like there's like the ranked meta, and there's like three metas, I guess, or two metas. The ranked meta and then like the competitive meta.
Mm-hmm.
Um and how metas get set is just which gods are doing well. Like they're like right now, I say like the ranked meta, like Golden Blade and like auto attacking characters are like really strong, and like that's like the ranked meta. Like if you have more Golden Blades on your team, you're gonna probably win the game because you're getting so much more farm than the other team.
Sure.
Um, and certain gods just become meta characters because they dominate that scene so much. It's not really about like what player wants basically.
Mm-hmm.
And like with some of like the niche picks, maybe like Herc, like last year, like a lot of people weren't playing Herc, but
Yep.
every game Herc got picked, he was winning while I
Sure.
was playing it basically, and that's why I
Yep.
was getting banned.
Mm-hmm.
And that's maybe why you can call it a meta pick, and that's why people started playing it more in ranked because it was just a god that was winning every single game.
Sure.
So I feel like that's how metas get set. So if they're a team that's first seed again, or if
Yeah.
they do really well, then I for sure they probably will set some of the like the meta picks, because if they're still playing, like even if they go back to like the Merlins and the Jingweis, like the gods you were saying, and they play those gods and they're first seed and they're doing really well, then I
Mm-hmm.
feel like other teams, other ranked players, other players in general will start seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's probably like honestly there's probably like the competitive meta, the ranked meta, and then like the casual meta. And like
Sure.
from the competitive meta, it trickles down to the ranked meta, and then the ranked meta trickles down to the
Yep.
casual meta, and like all the metas eventually become kind of maybe not the same, but have a lot of similarities, and it starts from the top and goes down. So definitely feel like they could set a meta if they do well, but whichever team does well, like for instance, like right after our set, I remember I was watching some streams. I was seeing a lot more Nuwa. Like Twitch
Mm-hmm.
played Nuwa.
Yeah.
He
Yep.
won on Nuwa a
Yep.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
Mike played Kuzenbo. I
Yep.
was seeing a lot more
I
Kuzenbo
was
in
I
ranked.
was one of those
Yeah,
Kuzenbos, not in ranked, but in my casual. I was like, man, if
exactly.
Mike's going in getting kills
Oh,
on Kuzenbo, I'm gonna go in and
yeah,
get kills on Kuzenbo. That looks so much fun.
yeah.
So
Like that's what it's like the trickle down. Like so, like
yep,
ranked or the competitive meta kind of trickles into both, and then ranked trickles into competitive as well. It can go both ways technically as
sure,
well, because
sure.
ranked sometimes goes into
Well, I mean, like
competitive.
like that's sort of where we saw the Nike jungle start. It was in ranked,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
then someone's like, man, this I went into getting too much elo. Time to get the actual money, the real bread on with this with the Nike jungle. Um,
Yeah. No. It
do
goes
you?
both ways, and even like I could even sorry to interrupt you, but one more thing. Like even back in season 3, Erlang Shen came out.
Yep,
I was only playing him in casuals, and that's it.
yep,
And I brought Erlang into the competitive meta through the casual meta, basically. So like
sure.
it can all go. It can go both ways. It's like a full circle kind of.
Do you find that like it's easier to set a meta if you have sort of like signature picks that you feel like you can play in any meta regardless? Like especially like I'm thinking of like you with your Hercules or like a lot of hunters with like Jing Wei, who's like never gonna be a bad pick in the carry role. But and even like Hurry went with his Yanis, right? Like that sort of sets some meta, right? When they decide, hey, we're like just gonna be doing these objectives, you know, like that's gonna affect the way all the teams in the league start playing. Do you feel like that's easier to do when you sort of have these signature picks that you can always go back to and not really worry about what the meta is, and you can just play your gods, and that lets you like gives you more breathing room to like consider options in the meta?
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about. Like, if you have characters like that, or if you have characters that you're good at, like that's what becomes the meta for like everybody else. Like, if somebody's
Mm-hmm.
doing well on this, um, they'll look at it and be like, "Oh, maybe I should be trying that more because it's going well for that team." And then people give and take from each other all the time
Yep.
in any game, basically, even in sports. Like, it's the
Sure.
same
Yep.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's a
uh,
copycat league, is what you're saying, right?
yeah, basically. But that's just what it is. So I feel like whoever is winning and doing well, and the picks are seeing constant, like maybe like bans and stuff. Like that's why like Hell, like for instance, like we were talking earlier about Paul's Hell a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Captain Twig brought out the Hell against SSG and won a game, and he even
Sure.
tried
It's
playing
true.
against us as well.
Yep.
So like you see these picks doing well and getting banned out every game. You're like, maybe I should be playing that, and then
Mm-hmm.
they pick it and they're like, oh, this is actually good, and then
Yeah.
that's when it becomes meta and whatnot. So
Sure. Okay.
I like that's how I look at it. I don't really look at it like someone's like it's not ever really about like setting the meta just kind of happens by itself. Like nobody decides anything. Like it just happens by people playing and winning basically sets the stage for everything.
Yeah. Like if you win one way, everyone is at least gonna try that once in their scrims to.
Or yeah, or at least look at it even.
Sure.
Maybe not do it, but at least be like acknowledge and be like, okay, that's happening. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, maybe we should try this character, and then maybe that character will become meta because it's good against the way that people are winning.
Right.
So that's
Right.
what it just sets the stage for everything basically.
Okay, so I'm glad we sort of talked about signature picks because, like, moving on to the ghost set, you know, is really a battle of who's going to get the Herc and how's the Herc going to do. Like, you guys were trading that off for a little bit. So, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about the ghost set? Like, what was your inclinations? I know you said, you know, you felt like it was a little bit sloppy because it was online. Um, but, like, I don't know. Everyone loved it. Five games. It's that's
No,
all we can hope for. So
the set was the most boring sets are the clean sets. Like the fans should hope that every set is sloppy because
sure.
those sloppy sets are the best sets to watch as a fan
Yeah.
because it's going to be the most fun by a mile. Like if the games are clean, the fans would be like, "This is so stupid. It's not going to be over." Like one team's just going to stomp the other team and it's not going to even be close. But if like both teams aren't playing at their best and they're playing a little sloppy, that's going to be the by far the best sets for like fans to watch. And I love watching those sets too if I'm not playing in them.
Sure.
Like I
Um.
want to
Go ahead.
go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. I was just gonna ask a couple of questions that Frost had here, especially about the Hercules. Is there like I know you love Herc, and like you know that might be your favorite god in the game. I don't want to speak for you. It might be though. Um. But like you know both you and Mike seem to really love Herc support, especially in competitive. And is there a reason why you guys both value it so much, or and like do you feel that there's like a rivalry between you and Mike about like having the best Herc in the league or things like that, or do you feel that way about any of the other supports in terms of like because I know Neil plays Herc every now and did a lot last year, so I don't know, just talk about Hercules as it relates to being your signature pick a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think there's really a rivalry between me and Mike with it. I think Mike though in that set had a way better performance of like all his hurt games.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I played okay. I didn't play terrible on it, but I didn't play great. Mike had some really good hurt games. Even the games that he lost, he did a lot of work. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I felt like I could have if I had a better hurt game in game 5, we probably could have won. I like missed some abilities. There was that one tragic driving strike I missed at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
game on Twig that maybe could have won us the set if I hit it.
Sure.
But what ended up happening is I pulled Twig with my two, and I just sold my Travelers, which
Ah.
give me MP5, so I
Yep.
didn't have enough mana to push him while he was in the
Oh,
air. So he
unfortunate.
fell, and my mana bar ticked back up, and I accidentally pushed it when I didn't want to, so I just completely missed him,
Oh
and then he
no.
lived, and then they ended up killing all of us because of it. So I mean, I made a couple mistakes in that last game, which
Mm-hmm.
maybe could have won us the game. Um, but no, I think Mike's really good at it. Mike's definitely had the better Herc out of us two this first half
Sure.
of the year. But we'll see. Who knows what happens next half? But I
Yeah.
still think my Herc was pretty good this
I think it
this
was.
year.
I think it was good early on in the season, especially you were running some games with it. Is there a reason why you and even like other teams are valuing Hercules so much? Like I know it's just a pick that you like, but is there a more I don't know, like nerdy reason that you that he's good? Like does he just do a lot
No,
of
I
damage?
just
He
like
gets around the map. You know, he presses W really well.
no, I just like him. I just like him a lot. He's just fun to play.
Yeah. Okay. Um, do you think in that final game you might have been baited into picking Herc through the in the picks and bans at all, or is that giving too much credit to Ghost and Slaney on the other side?
No, I don't think we were baited. I think we knew exactly how. I think, like, this is a thing. Like, I'm not saying that we just knew. Like, I think both teams knew exactly what was going to happen in that
Mm-hmm.
draft, and they knew what they were going to get and what we were going to get. And both teams knew exactly. Like, I knew exactly what their picks were going to be
Sure.
for the most part, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they knew exactly what our picks were going to be, and we were both happy with it. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, I don't think there was anything crazy about the last draft at all. Nothing crazy came out. I think if you ask anybody on either team, like they knew how the draft was going to go, or at least they should have, in my opinion. Like because we've already played 4 games,
Mm-hmm.
and even like getting into like the third and the fourth game, I feel like the drafts were becoming really easy to predict on both sides for
Sure.
both teams. It was just a matter of what pick you were. Like first pick gets that. Like first pick was getting the Nike and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, or the first pick was getting the Herc, whatever. But like you knew, each team knew what they were gonna get, and each team knew what they were gonna give up.
Okay.
So I don't think it was that crazy.
Okay. Speaking of the Nike, you know, Nike was a pretty pivotal pick in that set because whichever team got the Nike basically won. Like, how busted is Nike? And she's still gonna be running things after this midseason patch, you think?
Like I said, I've only played ranked, and in ranked, she still seems like she can be good.
Yeah.
There's obviously more counters. Ankh is bugged currently right now, so it doesn't do as much against
Okay.
her.
Wait,
Um,
wait, why would Ankh is gonna work against shields?
Yeah, Ankh works against shields. It does right now.
I did not see that in the patch notes. Okay, tells you how much research I did.
Yeah, but instead of reducing them by 50%, it only reduces them by 50. So it's just bugged right now. It's gonna be fixed in the next patch or whatever.
Okay, so it's like a flat shield
50%.
reduction.
It's 50%, I think, shield reduction. It might be 40. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it reduces the shield. And they also made Sunder take away shields as well.
I saw that. I was gonna ask about you in the items, but
So there's more options against her now. I still think she'll probably be strong,
mhm.
but now that there's more counterplay to her, she's not going to be as broken, and you'll be able to deal with her a little bit better because her kit, like in that MSI tournament and like in ranked, it was kind of hard to deal with her because she had a lot of damage, and she had a really big slow, and she was just hard to deal with because you couldn't kill her if she ulted.
And I think also I feel like on her
You had
one
to kill her.
and her two, doesn't she have like knockback immunity or knock up immunity on both of those
Both,
abilities?
yeah.
Which is like
Mhm.
that's kind of like you don't think about it, but like 2 ways to basically immune knockups is like pretty ridiculous, especially in
You
Smite.
gotta block auto attacks too. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like not a lot of things you can do to like.
Yeah, it's
I
not
wonder
like
what the heck Honor is supposed to do to Nike. Like
yeah,
nothing.
nothing exactly. It's so you know I don't know. I still think Nike is broken, and I've said Nike has been broken since she came out. So like, all right, why don't we take a break real quick? I'm gonna go use the restroom. We're gonna talk about phase two a little bit more. Maybe go through some of the items that that have sort of been coming into the meta. I'm talking about the sledge.
All right, sweet.
We'll talk about a couple more of those
Sled.
things, and then end with a couple, maybe like not Smite related, but more like esports related, and I don't want to say like personal entirely, but like not necessarily Smite related, but like more career and professionally related questions at the end. So I don't know. Let's take a little like a 2 minute break real quick while I go use the restroom, and we'll get back into it if that's okay. Sorry for taking up so much of your time, but I think it's been a pretty good conversation.
No, yeah, no problem.
Okay, I'll be back in just a second. Okay.
Sounds good. So how's your day been, Angus?
Pretty good. Just busy as hell.
Nice. That's good though, at least during all this stuff that's going on anyways. Better to
Yeah.
be busy than to just be doing nothing. I've literally been doing nothing waiting for this Smite patch to come out. I should have done some stuff. I've just been playing WoW and stuff. It's been fun though. And I'm just happy the patch is up finally out. I've been having a lot of fun in ranked.
I have yet to play it since it got out. That's
Yeah.
always Oh no, Apam's back. And he didn't hear me.
I didn't hear you. What'd you say, Angus?
I said, "Oh no, Apam's back."
Oh no. Were you guys bad mouthing me while I was gone?
Yeah. He wants you to hear everything that we said.
Sure. All right. No one needs. Man, I don't know. I need a lot of water. I feel like I've been talking a lot. I hope you're okay, Max.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Ah.
I can talk a lot. I don't know why. I'm good at talking.
All right.
I needed water from just listening to both of you talk. I haven't even said a word. I've been sitting over here working on spreadsheets.
All right. You ready to get started again?
Yeah.
I actually had one last question about sort of the current meta, and maybe this will tie into the when we talk about the mid-season patch and the meta that will sort of come ahead. Do you still think that like snowballing is something that you can do, especially like if you win the early game fast enough? Like I know at least Hyris has said that snowballing is something they want to minimize to a certain extent. I mean, like there should be some amount of it, but they want to minimize it, and they've been trying to do that for it seems like the past 4 years, trying to minimize the snowball, especially in Conquest. How snowbally do you feel like it is right now, and do you think that's going to change?
I have no idea what it's gonna be like in the future, but right now I still feel like I don't think it was like crazy snowballing. I think there was a lot of comeback potential, like
Mm-hmm.
how I look at it right now for like how last split went.
Mm-hmm.
Um if you had a lead and you were good at pushing it and transitioning it into like a good siege,
Mm-hmm.
you could end the game like pre 30 minutes really easily.
Mm-hmm.
But if you slipped up once and made a mistake, the games would probably go like 50 minutes, 40 minutes plus, because once enhanced fire giant spawns, it's a lot harder to get that and then push in and get a win. But before enhanced fire giants up, there's definitely a lot of room for like snowballing and winning a game really quick. Um, so I think it's in an okay spot right now, to be honest. Like you definitely can still do it. But there's also like if you make a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
you will lose like your snowball potential, I feel like. So you kind of have to maybe not play perfectly, but you have to execute everything properly to put yourself in a position to win. But you can make a couple mistakes. I feel like you don't have to do it insanely well, but you just
Sure.
have to play really good.
Okay. So overall, what are your sort of thoughts? Like, not just about competitive, but I'm sure you've played some casuals and some ranked recently. What are your thoughts about the changes that are coming with this midseason patch?
So far I've been having fun with it. Like I'm gonna keep saying this, like I haven't scrimmed on it yet, so like
Sure.
I have no idea like how it's actually gonna be, because that's like when you start scrimming, you start learning more and more about like how it's actually gonna work, because
Right. Right.
ranked and scrimming
I
is
mean,
so different from each other.
I'm just
But like
asking like your first impressions, basically, like reading the
in
patch notes
general,
and like whatever you've played.
like all the changes and stuff, it's been a lot of fun. Like I've just been enjoying it. The jungle,
Mm-hmm.
I like that all the jungle camps do something now. Like I just think it's fun and
Yeah.
cool. Like maybe they're not crazy. Like red buff is kind of crazy. Like if you're a support player and you try to do red buff, that thing's gonna kill you. Like
I
the first like
remember.
couple of levels of the game.
I remember the first time I saw the new blue buff. I was like, "Wait, what is happening now? What is going on? This is crazy."
Yeah, no,
So
I
it's
like
keeping
it.
it nice and fresh. I'm into it too. I think it looks fun, and it adds a little, a little thing to worry about. You know.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like the thing that I've been looking at, like the game's making like good changes. I feel like every year, like they'll add something in. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's not so great, but there are some good things that are added.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the route that it's going right now, like by the time we get on the next map, like they've been able to experiment with some of this jungle stuff. Maybe it'll even be crazier, or maybe
Sure.
it won't be. Who knows? But like now that they've done this, they can do something with it even more and maybe add on to it. So I think they put themselves in like a good spot to like go like make more for the game and like make it more exciting. I
Sure.
really like the jungle camps a lot. Like that's the first thing that I've noticed. Um,
Have you
the other
had a chance to look at like any items or anything?
the other big thing is a lot of people are talking about Ring of Hecate, like all the
Okay.
mage hunters. Like a lot of people are liking that item a lot.
Okay.
A lot of Freyas, a lot of souls
Hmm.
in ranked, or at
Sure.
least that I've seen.
Yeah.
Arachne is back with a vengeance. I feel like with Serrated Edge,
Okay.
Golden Blade, any Golden Blade character, like
I've
Golden
seen
Blade
lots
and
of Bakas.
yeah, Golden Blade and rank just rules supreme.
Yeah.
Dude, Baka is the best rank ban in low lobbies for me. Like if I get into it, like not if I know the lobby isn't stacked, I'm in a low
Sure.
lobby and I'm banning. I'll ban Bakasur and Arachne guaranteed. Number one, because they're both really annoying to play against if they're fed and if
True.
they're playing well.
Yep.
But they're also really annoying to have in your team if they're not doing well. So it's like a
Uh-huh.
double whammy. You
Oh
literally
man.
take out
Bit it from your own team.
both, yeah, you take your ban from your own team and from the enemy, and it's perfect. Perfect ban. It's like
Okay.
you're banning 4 things even though you're only
Yep.
banning 2. It's great.
I got you. I got you. What do you
But
think about the sledge? I see a lot of
oh yeah.
jugglers really sledging it up. Cherio's been on his sledge grind the past couple
I
days.
swear it's good, but I feel like if they called it something else and gave it the same stats, like it would still be good, don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't be as like as it is. So I think that like giving items cool names like that, like Serrated Edge and the Sledge, like those are like Smite's had Deathbringer since I've started playing it.
Hmm.
Like things like that, like Rage as well has been around for a while.
Sure.
All these damage, so just getting like new damage items like the Sledge and like Serrated Edge, like it makes people excited to buy them.
Sure.
They're actually cool items and they're fun to use. So
Yeah.
I think it's great. Like just like the items, the jungle patch or the jungle changes, and then like some of the god changes. Like I feel like Smite, like the everybody that's working on it has been doing a really good job of like updating a lot of like quality of life things, like for a lot of characters, which is
Hmm.
great. The more that they add to that, like the more smooth the game will feel. Like there's like a lot of things that they're doing with quality of life things, and I hope they keep doing all these changes because they like for instance like a couple patches ago they fixed or they like made souls all like better, like they quality of life did. Like a lot of people didn't really talk about it when they did that for souls alt. I
I
feel
don't
like
even I don't
they
even
made like
recall that.
Yeah, they made it hit on the first hit, I think, a little faster or something. And things
Ah,
like
okay.
that just make the game feel better.
Sure.
And then, like it's maybe like a little bit of a and then like I'm trying to think of like other ones like Arachne as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like this was a while ago. Um you're able to use your like one while you're in your alt thing. Just things that like are like they
Shoot, I
don't
didn't
look
know
like
that either, man.
they
I gotta be reading these patch notes, man. I'm missing
they
things.
they like they don't make the game like crazy good, or they don't make it like the god way better. It just makes it more smooth to play, and it just
Sure.
makes it feel better. Like they've been adding a lot of stuff like that. There's like more that I can't think of off the top of my head. Those are just like two easy ones that I remembered. And
Yeah.
then there's like quality of life buffs as well that they've done, like a quality of life buff. Like maybe you could put the soul one like in that area, but like Fafnir all.
Mm-hmm.
You get mana now when you alt.
Yep.
Like it doesn't make Fafnir like OP
Yeah, it just
because
makes
of
him
that,
feel a little bit better.
but it makes him feel better, which
Yep.
is good. Like it's not, like it's like perfect buff because it's not making him a broken character. It's just making him, because when you Fafnir ulted before, you'd like hammer jump buff, and then you'd be like, oh shoot, it's time to alt, and then you alt, and you're like, yeah, now I'm just
Now I'm
shooting
just
hammer
walking
at
around. Yep.
people. Yeah, now I'm just breathing on people. I don't have any mana for anything. So
Yep. Yep.
like this, the more stuff they add like that, the better, and they just keep making those changes. So I mean, they
Okay.
did it. I'm trying to think what else they did this patch. Like they made like some small changes to some gods, and it makes them feel better as well. So I like it. Like I think it's going in a great direction. The skins are cool too. That's another thing that we didn't talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
That battle pass
I
deal, that was crazy. I was not expecting that at all. Like
I wasn't. I didn't even write skins down on my little my notes for this. But man, who would have thought Avatar skins in Smite, man? Like the timing was great too. Like especially with it coming back on Netflix. I mean,
I know it's crazy. Like I was
shout outs to the
expecting,
marketing department, man. They did a great
yeah,
job.
like whoever got that deal, like
Yeah, give that guy
props to them.
a raise. Give him a promotion, man.
Like when I start, like I love that show. Like I grew up watching.
Oh yeah,
it, and
dude.
then it's like probably my most rewatched show because it's like an easy show to rewatch. Like that's the best thing about Avatar is like the
Yeah.
episodes are not that long.
Well, and
Um,
here's what I'll say. I watched it recently with my parents because it's not like I can watch like HBO shows with my parents because like I don't know. Yeah, as soon as the titties come out, that's they're done with that. So you know, I don't know. It still holds up even like as I've gotten older too.
yeah,
It's great.
no, it's amazing. Like I started watching it with my mom too a little bit. We didn't get through all of it
Yeah.
because I left, but I think it's a great show to watch with anybody of like any age. Like it's
Yep.
just such a good show. Like I love that show so much, and I I was so happy that like that's like I feel like they've had some cool crossovers like with music and like the Ruby Battle Pass and stuff.
Yep.
But I feel like this is like the first like really like big
Yep.
like crossover that they did, and I'm glad it's something as cool as Avatar because Smite always gives. I feel like they always gets a hard time. Like they're always like, "Why are you doing that?" But like nobody could say that about the Avatar thing. Like
Yep.
it's just way too cool.
Way too cool.
There's
Yeah.
nothing
And it
bad
looks good. The skins
about
look great, man. Like the Zuko skin looks good. The Aang skin looks great.
the animations are
Oh.
insane.
Incredible. Great job. Great job, Hi-Rez.
But yeah, no, this has been one of the best patches I feel like in forever. Like the skin between the skins, the map changes with the jungle, and then there's just some of the new items they added.
Yeah.
Like maybe who knows how it'll shape up like competitively, but just in terms of like somebody who plays Smite every day and plays for fun, like I still do that as well. Like it's just a good patch, like in general, I feel like.
Okay.
So I've been enjoying it.
Sticking with the patch just a little bit, have you had a chance to play the new rat with all the new acorns and things like that? Mess around in the jungle practice? How do you feel about the new rat? Or the old rat, the new old rat, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, he's like the new rat that's inspired by the old rat.
Yeah,
it's not the
exactly.
same exact
That's
game.
true. That's true.
But I think it's awesome. I think like variety, like the fact that they took like his like the variety of like acorns you could buy away from him. I didn't like that because I thought it was cool.
I agree.
Like,
Yeah.
acorn sucked. Like the Sticky Bomb acorn was like one of the old ones. Like
Yep.
yeah, it was like good. But like if you're playing like Clash or like even like some other game mode or even Conquest, if you're playing like like mid rat full power, and you like bought like the sticky bomb acorn, and like you just
Sure.
run up to people and blow them up. Like it was cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
so I think even if some of the acorns end up being really bad, like I still think it's fine because it's just a fun thing to have in the game.
Yeah.
And more options are always good because it gives people room to make like creative ways to play the character, and I always think that's a good thing for characters to have like cool creative ways to play them. But I put him on PTS originally, and he was a lot stronger on SPL. So I was like, I didn't look at his final numbers for when he got released. Like I looked at the patch notes, but I didn't look at the numbers. So I was like, if he's like
They nerfed like the power. They nerfed the power kind of across the board on a couple of the acorns and.
Yeah, like the protection acorn was so broken on PTS. I think it gave 30% prots. Now it only gives like 10%.
Yeah, and there was one that was like the healing one too. They nerfed the healing on it a little bit too. So
yeah, I think they nerfed the healing. But the crazier thing about the protection acorn is that the flurry stack protection debuff and buff worked on minions. So with Gauntlet of Thebes and Flurry Acorn, you could get the protection cap and with one item. So I was like, okay, if this stays in the game, Rat's completely busted. So
are we're gonna see some Rat support? You think coming up? Is that in the take?
The Flurry thing, it only works on gods now, so it's not as crazy. If it worked on minions, still, who knows?
Yeah.
And who knows? Still, maybe we will see some Rat support. Like now that there's those acorns in the game, there's like the options that maybe he'll be support, maybe he'll be solo lane.
I hear
stay in the jungle, or maybe he'll be Amelito flying in the hunter role.
I hear a lot of people like the one that gives them extra acorns on the 3. So apparently you can like just stun people from way far away and things like that. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Are there like any other gods that you're excited to see in the new patch? I know like Sylvanas got a buff, and there's some other ones. You know, the classic Aurora gods. Even Artio got a bit of a buff. So
yeah, no, I love Sylvanas. So who knows? Maybe he'll be really good. The buff that he got was pretty strong, and he got the other buff like recently. I think it wasn't at the beginning of this year. It was at the end of last year where his wisps got an extra tick.
Yep.
And they're starting to make that baseline like across the board for a lot of characters with ticking abilities. So
yeah, they changed it with Kabrakan in this patch too.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're just making that baseline, and I think like that's another quality of life thing that makes the character better. And maybe in the long run, maybe it'll make him too strong, but for some of them, not really. Like Sylvanas, it was fine, like that they did that. But it just makes the god itself feel better to play, and that's another example of it. Like they just keep adding things, like you said, Kabrakan as well now has that. It's just another thing that makes the god feel better to play, and the more and more stuff they add like that, I think the better the game gets. And I feel like they added another one like that this patch. But I don't know who, like, for gods like that, I've just kind of been playing everything. Like I don't really know what to think at all about like certain picks.
Maybe we'll have you.
Golden Blade is just running around in my rank games, killing one-shotting jungle camps. That's all I see.
Do you think Golden Blade is going to be the norm for comp as well, considering how much it's in ranked?
It'll probably, at least people will try it in competitive. Who knows if it'll stick? But I feel like people are definitely going to be playing Golden Blade characters for sure. Like Golden Blade, even when it was weaker, like in season 5 than it is now, probably it was still getting picked up. And like all iterations of Golden Blade, unless it was completely garbage, like has been like Sino. I think even last year on SSG, he played it on Arachne. He stole Fire Giant.
Yeah.
Autoing somebody else. Like always been there. So maybe it won't be as like sought after and competitive, but it will probably still be picked up, and we'll still probably see it in SPL for sure. I'd be surprised if we didn't see at least one in the first week. Maybe we won't. And maybe since I haven't started streaming it, maybe I'm crazy and I don't know what I'm talking about. But someone's got to build in the first week, at least one person. So.
What's Kenneth say? What's Kenneth say on Golden Blade? I'm sure he's been yelling about it the past couple of days, huh? What's the word around the house?
I think people. I feel like all junglers like are in like a love hate with Golden Blade. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I think they like it kind of, but then they hate it because it like everybody. It makes it easy for like everybody, but
Sure.
it's just fun to. It's like a weird item because it's fun to use, but it's like
It
I don't know.
it's kind
weird.
of feeling like do you remember Golden Bow, where like even if you weren't a crit hunter, you would just pick it up just because like it was so efficient early game that like
Yeah,
it made like every hunter viable.
I
But
love that.
but
They should
but
have just got rid of the crit, and it would have been good. That would have been a good thing.
but like no, at the same time, like when you make every hunter viable, like the matchups tend to not matter as much in terms of like counter picking specifically. So, there might, I don't know. I'm sure there are still like you're not gonna put Golden Blade on Thor anytime soon. Hopefully, who knows? Who knows?
I saw Golden Blade Thor in rank.
No, don't say things like that, man.
I don't know if it'll happen in competitive, but I've seen he was farming actually. He was on the other team. He was just golden blading it up. Like,
see, like when that stuff starts happening, that's like when I fear that Golden Blade is going, back to where it came from with the golden bow in terms of just like every jungler has to get it because it's the most efficient way to clear camps. Which I don't think is the case now, but we'll see.
I don't think that's the worst thing though. Especially if it's only I don't know. It's probably not healthy for the game to have for a long time, but like if it gets introduced and it is a little too strong and it does become that, I think it's fine for a little bit. In the case for the hunter thing, I feel like the old golden bow thing was kind of cool for the hunters, making a lot of them viable. It was just the crit that I hated about it.
Sure.
That was the only complaint.
Yeah.
But there's no crit on this one, so it's not as bad. It's not as bad.
I gotta ask about Cthulhu now that gonna be available. How do you feel like he's gonna maybe impact things? Is he a top priority type of? Obviously he's gonna be top priority for most people because I think everyone considers him overpowered at this point in terms of the ability to dive the backline and things like that. But you think he's gonna have a big impact in terms of like changing the way these things are played?
In ranked, every Cthulhu I've seen is just fed, so like, that's my experience.
That's also my experience too. Like I try to dive and I get blown up quite a bit. So
like every Cthulhu I see like hasn't done well. Like it's been banned a lot, so I haven't really played him that much. So I don't really know for myself. But, like every time I do see, I'm not banning it because I want to play him, and I haven't been able to really get him at all. But from like every other team always first picks him if they don't ban him.
Yeah.
And every time I see him, he doesn't do anything. I feel like maybe he doesn't feed, but he doesn't do very well like every single game. So maybe he's a little like overrated right now in rank.
I feel
I don't know if that'll transition. Like maybe he'll be better in competitive with
Sure.
how his kit works and like how teams can play around him. But like in ranked, I feel like he's not even good at all right now. Like from my experience of playing like these like past 2 days with the patch being out.
I have a feeling that like I don't know. Whenever there's a new god, everyone kind of overrates them a little bit because there have been so many gods that have been super OP on release that it's just sort of like, oh, of course the new god is going to be OP, so we got to ban him or whatever. I have just maybe like 4 more questions if you're so good to go.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay. So a lot of the start of this season, especially like considering where Worlds ended up last year in terms of the meta, was like centered around the invade and invading. And I know you're maybe not a proponent, but like you love invading. So do you feel like I feel like there's like sort of a natural progression towards invading and trying to like really mess with the flow of the opponent as we get closer and closer to Worlds. Do you think that sort of shift is going to occur again this year? Like, like we usually don't see invades in the first half of the SPL, but then as we get closer and closer to Worlds, teams start risking it for the biscuit a little more, if you understand. So how do you feel like invades are going to happen? Because we haven't really seen a lot in the Pro League so far, especially because Hi-Rez has made a lot of aggressive changes towards that.
Yeah, I don't know how what to expect. The curse or whatever makes it basically impossible to invade speed now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have no idea. I feel like there might be some ways that you can be creative and maybe come up with a strategy that allows you, like you said, to mess with the flow. But as of right now, I don't know personally. But like you said, around Worlds time, people like to try to figure something out like that. But who knows? Like last year was weird because we saw at the beginning of the year it was like invade city. I feel like Deathwalker opened the floodgates of like the invade meta because I remember season 5 worlds, he
Mm-hmm.
invaded energy in the
Mm-hmm.
first game,
Yep.
and he literally just killed adapting on his
Yep.
speed buff. Um, and then everybody started talking about it, and then what's it called? Neil and
Mm-hmm.
Scary made the 2-man like invade famous like at the beginning of last year.
Yep.
And I feel like as last year went on, like the invades kind of started dying out, like towards like MSI,
Mm-hmm.
because RNG came up with a good start to like counteract it.
Sure.
And then as the year went on, more towards Worlds, like you were saying, it started coming back a little bit. Um, and that's when we saw people trying to do more. So who knows? Like maybe I have something I'm cooking, but who knows? Maybe someone else does too. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Sure. Okay. Last question. Like looking forward to phase 2. Are there any teams? Like I know you've seen all the teams now, but you know there is a little bit of new blood with E United getting Guy J and things like that. Are there teams that you're worried about, or do you think that the parity in skill level in this league is just like everyone is real close and everyone is a threat on any week? And like, how do you see the phase going for you guys as a whole?
Um, I think the phase is gonna go good. We're just gonna take it a game at a time again.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of people do say that. I swear, a lot of people say that, and a lot of people say that in sports too.
Yep.
But I'm 100% one of the people that actually look at it like that. I feel like a lot of people say it but do not do it, and I've seen it firsthand
Mm-hmm.
a lot. But
I have like a follow
dude,
up if that's okay.
I, I I think all the teams, like you were saying, like I think all the teams can take games like off of anyone right now, and I'm not really looking at one team in particular. Like I think all teams have their strengths. Like you said, United brought in Guy J, so who knows? Like, who knows how he's gonna do? Maybe they'll do well or something, but maybe they won't.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. All the teams we've seen from last split, I think they're all really good players, and I think everybody got better. And I think the other thing to think about, I guess, this is one thing now that everybody's played online again,
Yeah.
and that's back to what the normal is. Like that's the new normal. I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe we'll start seeing some more cleaner sets because people, but maybe we won't because it's online still. Like because at LAN that's when you usually see like the teams play a lot more clean and really
Mm-hmm.
well. Like there's not as much sloppy play. But maybe since this is the new normal, maybe we'll start seeing a little bit more of cleaner play, and maybe it'll be maybe some resident sleeper games will happen where one team just gets stomped. But as
Okay.
fans, you guys better hope that it's sloppy because it'll be a good
Yeah, man.
show. That's for
I love those. I love the sloppy games, man. I think the best games that I've seen are the ones where it's like the base race that just doesn't quite work out somehow. Those are always the most fun for me.
sure. Yeah.
All right. Just a couple of last questions here that I don't know might be a little more personal, but I just wanted to get your insight and your take on them. How do you feel having a sibling who's also in esports um, helps you in terms of like getting along with your teammates? Are you able to like talk to your brother Sam, who is Lorlo, plays League of Legends professionally? Do you like talk to him about things like team dynamic and things like that? Since you guys have sort of like similar experiences, is he like a resource to you in that way, or are you a resource to him in that way at all?
Yeah, we definitely talk about how our teams are and like how maybe we can improve some things, but it's just so like the one thing with League compared to Smite, it's just ran so differently. I realize like it's weird. Like for League, at least from the teams that he's been on, um, like the coaches have like a lot of say like over stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
like don't get me wrong, like the coaches definitely have say in Smite stuff, but like it's more of like a collected effort like in
Sure.
Smite for like all the teams I've been part of. Like the coaches aren't the one who are making the final call. It's like the team making the call together. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think I like that a little bit better. But it might be different for some teams in League as well. It just depends probably.
Hmm.
But in terms of like team dynamic and stuff, yeah, we talk about it. It's interesting to hear how things go, and I think for him, it's also interesting to see how things go.
Yeah,
For
especially
like
because
our
like
side,
the size of the scenes are, you know, pretty big difference. I mean, like League
yeah.
is huge, and Smite. Like I love Smite, but like realistically, you know, we're a tight knit family, right? That's the best way to say it.
Yo, Smite, we're not as big as League, but we're big. Like we get like what we were getting like
Yeah,
15K viewers for
yes,
like
it,
the set.
yeah, it's
Like
pretty good.
that's pretty good. Like people always say like Smite's a dead game, lol, and like all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. Like you see like all these new games come in
And they just
and
die instantly.
try to make an esports
Yep.
team. Like maybe they'll get a couple thousand viewers like on their stream for like their first big events, and then it'll just
Mm-hmm.
that'll die off.
Mm-hmm.
Smite is like you could say
It's like
anything you want about Smite. Smite went to a different platform and
it
came
can,
back, and we're still going.
true.
Like
That's
that's
true.
like the thing.
That is
Like
true.
you could say as many bad things you want about Smite. You could say it's a small or whatever, but it's here to stay. I feel like
Sure.
we got like amazing people in the community and like amazing fans that enjoy it. And
Yep.
the the thing about Smite is the game's just fun. Like
It is fun.
if
It's
the game
always a fun game. Yeah.
if the game's fun, like it's gonna stick around no matter what. Even if it's not the most popular, even if it's not the greatest game out there, like it's just a fun game to play. Like I've never not seen anyone play Smite, even the big streamers that come in and play it maybe for one night.
Mm-hmm.
Like they say they're having fun
Yeah.
at one point or
It's
another.
true.
Maybe they have an issue with something
Mm-hmm.
in the game, or maybe they don't like this or that or whatever. But for a little bit while they're playing, they're like, "Oh, dang, this game's actually fun. Why does it
Mm-hmm.
get so much hate?" Is like I feel like what they think, and then they see some other things.
Yep.
But like,
And then they get
but
trolled. They get trolled one game,
yeah, they get trolled.
and they're
They
like,
get
"Oh man."
slept on, and
Yep.
they're like, "Okay, this sucks." Like
Yep.
that's one thing. I feel like Smite, like like the community itself, some hurts itself. Like not the people that are like part of like the community that's been around for a while, but there's some people in this Smite community I feel like that like when some new bigger like entity or like streamer or something comes in,
Mm-hmm.
like their goal is just to like ruin their experience and like give it a bad name, and I hate that. But
Sure.
I don't know why I'm talking about going on a random tangent,
No, it's
but
fine.
like I said,
That's what this is for. Go on the random tangents, man.
I like it, and I think it's a fun game, so it's not going anywhere. And we have really good community, really good fans, and
Yeah.
I couldn't be more happy to be part of it.
And I think you said it best. Like we survived Mixer. Mixer didn't even survive Mixer. Like we went to Mixer and came back and like are actually like back better than ever. And Mixer doesn't
Yeah,
even exist anymore. So you know,
exactly.
I don't
Like
know. I call that a win by high res.
we,
Like
we can live anything if we can live that.
yeah, for sure.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. So that was really good to see. Okay, I have not really necessarily a serious question, but you know, we were talking about coaches a little bit when I mentioned Lorlo in the previous question, and I was wondering, like, you've had a couple of different coaches now. Are coaches there to help you sort of like look at the micro things or look at the macro things, like the big picture, while you are like focused in on like individual games and things like that? So like they're saying like, hey, we need to try to win these games to get these seedings and things like that. Like, give me a bit more insight into like how Biggie helps you guys out as a team.
Um, yeah, I think for like just for any Smite team, like you could talk to them. Like I feel like all the coaches like just do different things for
Mm-hmm.
the team. Like every team, their coach probably does something different to
Sure.
them. I think all the coaches definitely are like the outside opinion that you can go to because they're the ones watching all the games every day.
Hmm.
They're seeing everything from like a bird's eye view, and they'll have a different like if I go to like Cyclone and say this, or if I go to or adapting and say that, like from my perspective, I'll see it differently than adapting sees it, but then Biggie gets to see everything, so he'll
Yeah,
be able to
he's like a more objective
yeah,
voice.
he'll be able to give a really good opinion on
Sure.
like just just the whole scenario as a whole, more so as just from your own perspective, because you like Smite's not like top down, so you can't see everything. So
Hmm.
you only see things from your perspective. So having someone that can see everything and being able to talk to them about certain things like is just a big help. And I feel like all the coaches probably do that.
Hmm.
And then every other coach also fulfills whatever else the
Like
team needs as
specific needs
well.
that the team might need.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't know, you were pretty close to Kabam before he left for High Res. How has that transition been between him and Biggie? And like, I imagine you guys are all like, no one's like hates each other or anything like that. But I don't know, you and Kabam seem like pretty close, especially because you were on the same team for like 2 years there. Uh, how's the coaching change gone for you?
I think it's going really well. I'm happy for Kabama. I think he's happy.
Yeah,
And I just think it's cool. Like they're just different. Like they should have some similarities in terms of some things, and then there's just some differences. And I think it's cool to just work with more people because you get to see more things, and it's always good for a switch up for everybody. I feel like so. It's been good. And me and Kabama are still good friends. Like
yeah.
no bad blood between us at all.
No, of course, I didn't want to
We still,
insinuate that or
yeah.
anything, but like,
No, we still live really close to each other actually, so we hang out every once in a while but it's hard with all this COVID stuff and
yep.
stuff like that. But yeah.
All right. I don't know. That's basically all the questions I have. I know Angus wanted me to ask you when you gonna stream next, man. We're all waiting for the Trunk Nation streams.
Yeah, I don't know. May eventually. I'll stream again. I don't know when. I don't know. I like streaming and I don't like streaming at the same time. I'm weird.
I think there are a lot of people who feel that way about it. Because I don't
There's
know.
like it's hard for me to give my exact reasons. I don't know. It's hard for me to put into words, but I like it. And if I'm in the mood, I like doing it. I'll have fun with it. And then
Sure.
whenever I turn my stream on when I'm in a bad mood, it just makes me never want to stream again after that. But um, I don't know. I'll definitely stream again. I don't know when. It'll
Okay.
be sometime
Sometime
eventually.
soon. All right, man. I don't know. That's all the questions I have. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Any shout outs you might want to give? I don't know. Floor is yours.
Um, yeah, no, shout outs to you guys for having me on for the first episode. It's an honor.
Appreciate
Um,
it.
shout outs to Radiance for coming in and picking us up after the craziness of
The whole
everything
ghost.
that happened. I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I don't know what I'm not allowed to say, so I don't even want to get started on all that. But man, shout outs to them for coming in and picking this up. They've been great to work with. I couldn't ask for a better org. Thanks to like all their sponsors, Logitech,
Yeah.
Test Ups, and thank you, and
Okay.
Zowie. So shout outs to all them. And then shout outs to my family for being supportive this year. I mean, I feel like everybody's going through a hard time
Mm-hmm.
with everything that's going on in the world. There's multiple things too. It's just not
True.
even one thing.
Yep.
So they've been a great support system for me. I really appreciate that. And just shout outs to all the fans of the SPL and to my teammates. Like it's been with everything going on, we're still kicking, we're still fighting, we're still in there. Smite still goes on.
It's
No
still
matter
going on.
what.
Hey, it's
It's
going
still
on.
going on.
Going on better than ever, as far as I can tell. I think the SPL is looking real good for the next phase. So, you know, yeah. And shout outs to High too. What like send me a jersey, my friend.
Yeah, no, he's been great. He's been loving it. It's funny. I was playing a little bit of Smite with him, and he thinks it's a lot of fun. So I'm glad he got into it. It's cool having somebody like that in the Smite scene. It's always a lot of fun seeing people try it out for the first time and really get into it. So it's been exciting.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate you joining me for this interview.